Okay, and now we got some notes slash comments slash talking points, I guess, in regards to their show. You want to tell them what your show is?
We have a show on YouTube that's about 80s and 90s movies that I produced with my co-host Josh Sanchez. It's called An Hour Feature Presentation, where we basically talk about our favorite 80s and 90s movies. And in addition to having a talk show portion about it, we also do little skits that are inspired by the movies and have a little fun, just kind of like sharing our love for these movies with everybody.
So what these are not necessarily focal points about each episode specifically. It's just things that came from stuff that was said in the episodes. So more observations, if you will, some questions that me and Jimmy came up with, we got written down here. So, episode 1 on Airheads. One thing I wanted to mention, when y'all were talking about, we actually talked a little bit about this during the interview portion of this. So, when you guys mentioned about not liking digital stuff going away and whatnot because you don't like not having them or them being altered, that's just something I noted as well. That's why I'm sure he's the same way. I'm a diehard physical collector of anything. I will get digital if it's the only option.
I like to have it in addition to. That's why I like that when you buy a new movie, you get the digital code. So you basically have quick access if you don't want to mess with your player. Not that it's a big old ordeal to put something in a player, but it's nice that just like I could access it at other places too, my phone or at somebody else's house if I log in. But I don't like it being the only way. Like I said, because aside from it being taken away, and the two movies that I'll point out, like Airheads was literally what spawned the show because I used to watch it weekly, and when that went away, it like broke something in my brain because it was just like it was like a comfort movie for me.
Yeah.
And I created the store soundtrack, and the idea for the show. Me and my friend cooked up. And that was one of my big things I championed was like they took my movie away. And another one I'd point out that they did it to was the movie The Burbs. Same thing. Just went to watch it one day, just not there anymore. And that one's a sore spot for me because recently they brought it back up for purchase instead of giving it back to me. I had to rebuy it, and I felt all the more justified after I purchased it. It literally still had my spot where I left off watching the movie, so I had to rebuy the movie, and it still left off me playing it halfway through.
Yes.
There was a resume. There was a resume button, and I'm like, you guys.
You can resume your purchase as well.
But I do hate them. The biggest thing I noticed that they'll do to modify these things is taking away the licensed music, and that kills it for me because that's where a lot of my musical taste came from. Was I'd watch a movie and I'd hear a song in that movie and I'd go, look, who played that song? What is that song? And I can't tell how many times I put something on and they've just removed a song that they didn't want to pay for anymore. And it's just that ruins that whole scene for me now because it's burned into my brain that's what happens during that scene is this song is playing.
I noticed that in some movie the other day and I can't remember what it was. It might have actually been one of the Fast and Furious movies or something. I'm watching this and I'm hearing the music in the background. And I had the soundtrack, and I'm like, these are not the songs that we're playing. These are not the songs that were on the soundtrack. This just doesn't sound right.
They basically will replace it half the time with some royalty-free music. So it's some template song anyway, and it's oh, that kills it, man. You can't replace an AC/DC song or some other well-known song with just some random loop that they pull for free off the internet.
Yeah.
No matter how good the loop is, it's not the same.
It's just not the same. It's not going to have that same thing. You've watched a scene X amount of times. It's got this, specific layout of, dialogue, environment, and then, backing, soundtrack. It's you can't just mess with that mix all of a sudden.
So the next, talking point is also from something that was said in episode 1, Airheads. When you guys were talking about what inspired you guys to start the channel, and I believe it was Josh that said something along the lines of, why didn't you start a gaming channel? Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
And then you said something to the effect of, it's tough because of oversaturation with retro stuff. We understand that wholeheartedly.
It's tough to get your foot in the door because there's so many people that are doing content based on video games. And I've done it in the past. That's the thing is, like, I did try to do a little bit of, I did a podcast that wasn't just about games. It was also about, like, other collectibles as well. And it's hard to get your foot in the door because there's just so much choice out there.
Yeah.
And there's, so many people, doing that. I was just like, me and you, like, referring to Josh, like, me and him, we talk about movies just as much as we talk about video games.
Yeah.
And that's really where a lot of it spawned from is, before you know it, I've been on the phone with you for 2 hours just joking around about these movies we're talking. Oh, you've never seen this one? What about this part? And stuff like that. So I just made that suggestion just based on the conversations we were having over the telephone. Since he's in Florida and I'm in Pennsylvania, we would chat on the phone for long periods of time when we talk. And I just kind of would notice we'd come up with all these comical things, revolving around these movies. So it was almost like just second nature to be able to joke about them. I was like, why don't we do it on this? You know what I mean? And I really feel like movie physical collecting is on an uptick. Mm-hmm. And that's what I find is so funny too. Again, it's like the thing that I said previously, right place, right time kind of thing. I feel like this is a good time for me to be pushing, the love of movies again. Because like almost for a while there, like I used to sell physical movies at the old location until I had to stop because they just weren't selling. And then I just started to take notice that people were collecting them again in the last few years, which I find wild because a lot of places like Best Buy and other places have discontinued their movie section right as the resurgence is happening. Yeah. It's like, do you guys not even pay attention to the world? I'm just like, I was going to Best Buy every Tuesday to see the new movies because it's New Movie Tuesday, which is also why we release our episodes on Tuesday, so we can simulate the New Movie Tuesday kind of thing. And that's why Josh selected that as the release date, because that's when the new movies would come out at rental stores or at the new store to buy it. It would be on a Tuesday.
It's because of the oversaturation thing is why we knew we wanted to do video games, but that's why we do this whole this gimmick, because we wanted to add a little bit of.
You want me to just wait till it stops ringing and continue? Sorry. Turn it off when we're filming in here, but we usually don't remember until it rings once during a shot.
Yeah, of course. It's always doing something like real important.
Mm-hmm.
Got the good take, and then the phone rings. And we're good.
So we're good. But yeah, that's the oversaturation is why we do the cow gimmick, because we knew we wanted to do video games. But we're starting out fresh. We're not going to be able to compete with the likes of, Pat the NES Punk, ABGN.
They have a foothold. They've been doing it for so many years.
And they had the advantage of starting when it was fresh. So we're trying something different while keeping the ideals the same. That's why we did this.
Oh, absolutely.
So, episode 2, batteries not included. I actually only have one thing, and it's more of an observation than a question. You said you had something you wanted to... So I'll go ahead and do this one.
Mine would be after that anyway.
So, I've already stated how much I adore your guys' intro skits. They're just the best. So, particularly with the Batteries Not Included one, when you guys had that little TMNT magazine, that was the 80s cartoon, right? And then, I don't remember what the name of it is, but that little thing that looks like Saturn, the ball thing.
So what's funny is, like, it wasn't the actual official branded one, that was a knockoff one, because that's what I found at a store. But those are like pogo balls.
That's what they were called, pogo balls.
And that was something I was always excited about as a kid. Yeah. It's like, you basically just, clamp your feet on the top one and just bounced on it. I was just at basically we were going to like thrift stores to find props for the show, anything that was like period specific. And we saw that. So I was like, we're definitely including this, because Josh had said to get a pogo stick, which we had one of those too. But I was like, I'm definitely getting this pogo ball. And then the comic book was from my friend Nick. He was nice enough to donate like period relevant ones so that we could use them in the shoot. And just since we don't actually like identify them in the show, that skit's actually referred to like on the script and behind the scenes as Stoop Boys.
Yes.
See, because like that, you remember that Nerf gun we used for the skit, right? We got that at the thrift store.
Nice. And it's just like, sometimes you find something you don't even know you're looking for.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what's nice about it is as you're looking for other things, you stumble across for whatever reason, I can't remember whose idea it was, if it was Josh's or mine, about having a boglin in. I can't remember. I'm giving spoilers here.
More spoilers.
There's going to be a boglin in a future episode that we actually borrowed from Toy Store in Town called Pop Culture Connection.
Okay.
Jeromy, the owner, is nice enough to lend me some of the toys that we use in the Stoop Boys skits and some of the other
Nice.
skits because we want to try to have 80s and 90s toys represented whenever we're doing those. And we have a lot of fun with Stoop Boys too because we're trying to simulate how we would have behaved as little kids, like things like the purple nurple and stuff like that, where you're basically bullying each other as friends, you know what I mean? And
Wet Willie.
it's just kind of a different, it's a different time. That's just kind of, kids do different stuff like that now, but it's not quite the same, you know what I mean? But we were trying to be, goofballs like we would have been back then. We try to simulate, 80s and 90s childhood, basically.
I liked him saying that, you said when I turned 12, I grow a beard like yours. Where is it? You're like, I just shaved it this morning. I was like, that's great.
That's the other irony is, no matter what my character is, even if he's not supposed to, he's going to have a beard because I'm not shaving my face.
Because then you got to wait for it to grow back, and I'm going to do that.
Nobody wants to see this without a beard.
Exactly.
It's just not the same.
I have such a baby face. Like, my fiance hasn't even seen me. I'm like, I'm not there yet.
I don't even look like, I literally can shave my beard and come up this, when I did it one time when I was going to PTI, shaved my beard. I went to school that day and spoke to 4 people that didn't realize it was me because I look so different without a beard.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I saw in that episode was when he's putting the VHS tape into the player to start playing, there's the stacks of VHS on top. Are those spoilers? Because I did see some that were in future episodes.
They are spoilers.
I thought so.
But not every one of them is a spoiler. I won't reveal it yet because Josh and I have a lot of fun with Easter eggs. But there are 2 different indicators in the stack. One of them will always be a previous movie, and one of them will be a future movie.
Okay.
So if you want to pay attention to the
I am now going to have
to the stacks, we try to pepper the episodes with Easter eggs. We do, and in future episodes, we make references to past episodes, and we have interconnecting storylines and characters that will eventually all come together. I've joked with Josh recently that eventually we'll have to have an end game kind of episode where multiple characters are interacting, and we will have reoccurring characters that happen in the show.
I am ashamed of myself that I didn't notice that about that because I watched each episode minus the new one at 2 or 3 times. I am so ashamed that I didn't notice.
I think I saw the Bergs or the Burbs on there. I'm like, and then it was Secret of Nim. I'm like, there's a Secret of Nim VHS. Where are some of the other ones on? And then I saw some of the ones that you had already done before and some that you haven't. And I was just wondering that.
Now we try to, everything we do, we do try to do little intentional things like that.
I figured it was, yeah.
So I only got one thing I want to mention about Uncle Buck, the episode.
That's good. At least there's a good cut there.
What I find ironic is where they look up my phone number, it literally says when we're open, right with it everywhere on the internet. So I'm always confused as to why they decide to call on a day that we've had the same time and hours for 5 years now. You know what I mean?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that happened exactly when I first started talking the other time it rang, right?
Mm-hmm. At least it happens right at the start.
Yeah. Okay. So now you're going to start the Uncle Buck thing again.
Yeah, so I only got one thing I want to mention about the Uncle Buck episode. So you said an interesting fact that, no, I'm not well versed in that movie, but obviously I have seen it. I did not know that Robin Williams almost got that lead role.
That wasn't something that I was aware of either until I was doing research for the show. And that's what's so cool about it is these movies that I've seen, some of them probably, 30, 40, 50 plus times. And to still find out new little Easter eggs that they have peppered in or trivia like that, it's such a cool thing for me to discover as well. So aside from getting to tell other people about it, sometimes I'm learning for the first time about some of these things. And it's so wild how much you can learn about one individual movie and how big, and how much trivia that it can have and how many behind the scenes things you can find out about. All the John Candy stuff's so near and dear to my heart, and Uncle Buck's one of the big ones for me as well. And it's so cool that this many years later to find out new stuff all the time about stuff like that. And I'm really excited because in October they're coming out with a John Candy documentary.
Oh yeah.
And I'm only expecting to learn more things, and I'm excited to see people become more excited about John Candy now that we're finally celebrating him again this many years later.
So I know hindsight is a funny thing, but like, how do you think Robin would have done in that role, in your personal opinion?
He would have done okay, but it wouldn't have been the same movie. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought too. When he told me that, yeah.
I would think of like look at the hijinks of like Mrs. Doubtfire or something like that. He can definitely do like a family-oriented comedy like that. Like, because sometimes that's what's so funny is Robin can be quite vulgar, but he can also do like family-friendly stuff as well.
I've seen his dirty stuff.
And it just wouldn't have been the same though. Like some of these people that they just personify that character. John Candy just killed it as Uncle Buck. I could never envision anybody else as that character. It's so wild sometimes whenever you research these movies to see some of the people that were up for the role, and it's just because they're popular or more famous people at the time, and it's like, man, that doesn't seem like a good fit at all. You're just picking like big name actors. Like it was crazy. It's crazy to me how many times I see like Jack Nicholson up for a part, and it's like, this doesn't seem like a Jack Nicholson movie at all. And it's like they're just same thing with like Clint Eastwood. I can't tell how many times I'll be looking at a movie and they're like, the studio wants Clint Eastwood. I'm like, why does the studio want Clint Eastwood? This doesn't seem like a fit for Clint Eastwood at all. You know what I mean? It's just so funny because it's just like executives run amok. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, here's a good selling name we can use. You know what I mean? Like, did you read the script? You know what I mean?
Because, like, fun fact, I don't know if you knew this or not, when they first were casting for the role of Thor and Loki, did you know that Tom Hiddleston...
He auditioned for Thor.
Yeah.
He was even blonde at the time, I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, during his audition, or had a blonde wig on, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Chris Hemsworth is Thor.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston is Loki.
And I'm glad it worked out the way that it did because they both nail it as those characters.
Can't picture... I mean, he's built, but he's not Chris Hemsworth.
He's slender compared to...
I couldn't imagine him just... I couldn't. It probably might be hindsight, like I previously mentioned, but I couldn't imagine that.
Me either.
Something
I will say real quick about the Uncle Buck episode.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of my most favorite stories to tell about that one is you notice the car that looks similar to Uncle Buck's car in the movie or in the episode of in our feature presentation. I just stumbled across that by accident. I kept telling people how cool it would be if we could find a car like that, and we were driving my son to preschool one day, and I just saw it parked out of somebody's house. And one day driving to preschool, I just went up and knocked on the door. I was like, hey, can I borrow your car? Kind of thing.
Wait, did you know these people?
Not at all.
And
what's hilarious though is when I knocked on the door, they knew who I was because they'd been in the store before.
Oh,
So that worked in my favor that they knew me from WarpZone. But it's just like, I can't imagine somebody knocking on my door and be like, hey brother, can I borrow your car for an hour?
Like, okay, this could work out. They could call the cops. This could work out.
And he was a really nice fellow. Like, what's so funny too is like, it's a fellow in his early 20s, answers the door, and like, I want to say at the time he was wearing a Dio shirt. You know what I mean? He's got an Uncle Buck looking car that's named Roxanne. You know, just seemed like a really cool dude. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm always excited when I see the younger generation appreciating like older content, basically old rock music, old movies, and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know if you noticed in the credits, I do believe we even referenced the car as Roxanne, the car and stuff like that. The credits move pretty fast, but if you pause on them, we have a couple funny things in them occasionally.
I'll double check over them again, because now that I found out about the VHS thing, I feel like I have to scour them again.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't notice that. That was like the first thing I picked up on.
Trust me, I'm kicking myself for that.
And like I said, you'll see future episodes that reference characters in other episodes too. Like the current episode that's up right now, the storyteller character references other characters from previous episodes in it. He's very subtle about it. He doesn't say their name outright, but he describes them.
So, episode 4, Romancing the Stone. I will admit, prior to watching this episode, I had no idea what that was.
I hadn't watched it since my childhood, so that was a Josh pick. But it's one of those ones I definitely remembered it, just not as well as I do now after researching it and whatnot. And it has a sequel as well. It has Jewel of the Nile as well. And what's funny is my recollection kind of merged those two movies together because I was waiting to for certain parts to happen. And then I came to that must happen in the sequel kind of thing. Josh did the same thing with Crocodile Dundee, where he kind of merged the two of those together, remembering scenes. He's like, well, why isn't this it's in Crocodile Dundee too.
So the only thing I have here for episode 4 for Answering the Stone is an observation. When you guys first did the opening where you're putting it in the VHS player, I saw the hat, and without knowing anything about this, I was like, "Oh, Indiana Jones," and not even 10 seconds into the whole intro skit, it's not an Indiana Jones story. I started howling. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then proceeds to describe what sounds like an Indiana Jones story. I just think that's hilarious that I didn't know what this movie was. I thought that, and here we go. I just thought that was funny.
It was definitely our opinion that movie was greenlit because of the success of Indiana Jones.
Probably.
And several adventure movies, I'm sure, just like it is nowadays, if something's successful, everybody's like, let's throw something up like that kind of thing, and see if it sticks. But yeah, that was a lot of fun that we had, kind of making those references. That was Josh making those parallels between when Timmy's telling the storyteller, it sounds like Indiana Jones to me. And what's funny is I just happen to have that hat laying around from when my family and I went to Disney, and that was Dad's souvenir to bring home, was the Indiana Jones hat.
So for episode 5, Cadillac Man, I got one thing for that. So it's another Robin Williams thing. Robin Williams is such a legend, and on top of his seemingly endless amounts of movies, because you guys were listing off, and then I was like, oh, Pat Adams, and you guys eventually said Pat Adams. I said, on top of his endless list of films, he was a big video game nerd.
Oh yeah,
and
his daughter's literally named Zelda.
Yeah.
They're in a Zelda commercial together.
Yes.
And my favorite thing video game related to him is that he's in World of Warcraft. Well, honored in World of Warcraft. I just think that's awesome. He is such a legend, a man of many talents.
I'm really sad that we lost him, just like I'm sad that we lost Sean Candy, because it's I feel like he if he wouldn't have the ailments that he did, he'd still be around making stuff for us. You know what I mean? And it's sad to see our legends, our heroes, kind of become old and frail and get health issues, and eventually we lose them, and the older we get, it's going to just keep happening, and we got to just kind of celebrate them after they're gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I definitely wish we could still see modern movies that had him in them, but we have what he's already done, at least, that we can still go back and enjoy.
And as you guys mentioned in forget which episode, Chris Farley as well.
Yep. We probably mentioned him in the Airhead one, I'm guessing, because he plays the police officer.
And then episode 6 is the last one I have stuff for, that we have stuff for, because I didn't. Well, I don't know if you watched the most recent.
I have not yet. No.
So the first one is actually something Jimmy really liked. Go ahead.
It was the skit at the beginning with the doors. So you would open up the door, and you could see into the room, and it was always the same room. You always see the white curtain and everything, and the next thing you know, you walk in, it's a different room. I was like, that's pretty cute and clever.
That's technically I enjoy the silliness of it, but it's also one of those things how it is, even if somebody else doesn't beat you up for it, you beat yourself up for it.
Sure.
To where you're like, man, if we would have just hung a black curtain back there to make it just seem like a dark room that you're going into. But I think it only adds to the charm of it sometimes. The things aren't perfect. The irony of course, is that's the same hallway we're running through multiple times.
Yep.
And that's actually those are fake rooms we created here in the store.
In here.
Wow.
We had fake walls. We had a fake door frame created, and we just kind of just kept setting it up, and we'd film all the hallway scenes at once. We'd film all of that room scenes at once, and then we'd dress it for the next one. Everything happened all right in the store.
Wow.
We initially were trying to find a place that would have a good enough hallway to do it, and we just weren't able to, so we just did it, how we could in here. And some of the future episodes, it's going to be the same way, where we're walking from a room to another room, and it's all just the one room in our shop.
Just change the camera angle.
And then there's one more. Okay, so what's left? There's one more thing from Secret of NIMH, and then I just have a handful of general comments. So, when you guys were talking about Secret of NIMH starting or with a super modest budget, and then it went into this huge unforeseen success, that reminded me a lot of my favorite movie of all time that I know like the back of my hand. Like, I could honestly recite the entire darn movie right now without even seeing it, The Lion King.
Right.
Lion King, they assigned their B-tier team to that movie. It wasn't supposed to be huge, and then it turned out to be arguably one of the most influential Disney movies.
I don't remember what it is, but it came out at a similar time as another one of their movies, didn't it? I can't remember what the other one was, but that was the one they thought this was going to be the success.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
I can't either, but
then The Lion King was like the sneak success, basically.
I love that movie. It's not fair, is it? Yeah, anytime we watch that, I will put it on. My wife will look at me and she will go, "Don't!" Like reciting the whole movie. And then now my daughter started to do it, and she was like, "See what you did?"
There's a similar story with I believe it's DreamWorks. They were working on Prince of Egypt. And all the people that messed up or did something that somebody didn't like on that got kicked down into the basement to work on their other project, Shrek.
Right.
I'm like, and then you see what Shrek became over. I mean, Prince of Egypt is a good movie, but Shrek is like just taken over.
I want to say, I think the first Shrek made between like 600 and 800 million.
Yeah.
And then I think the second one was like $1 billion movie almost. And it's just... It's so funny because, like I said, the executives think one thing and then the world decides another. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's that the underdog succeeds, you know what I mean? Even though they put all their eggs into the basket of what they think is going to be the big, spectacle, the one that's going to, blow up, and then it's the little sleeper hit over here.
And I think it's part of the team that they put onto it, wanting to just give it the best. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't think I'm good enough for the movie that you think is good enough. Let me work here. Okay.
And if we want to give a video game example of this scenario, the original Final Fantasy. That was
meant to be the final game.
The swan song. Yeah. Right. That's why they called it Final Fantasy. And little did they know that it blew up into Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15... I'm sorry, did I skip one?
You skipped 2, actually.
Okay.
14's an online one, but...
did you say 1? We don't talk about 13. But no, I did that on purpose. But no, and I never played 14, so I can't really comment too much on it.
I did a little bit. It's all right. I got spoiled on World of Warcraft, so now anything I try to play online, it doesn't feel like it, so it's not how I want to play.
Which... Fun fact, okay, this is a little off topic, but you made me think of it. We actually met because of World of Warcraft. So we were working at Arby's. How long ago was that?
It would have been the early 2000s, like 8, maybe mid, so like 8 or 9 maybe.
Yeah, I would say around that.
Yeah.
So I had just gotten hired, and he was the lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shift lead. And so I'm talking to this other person. We're talking about video games, right? I'm on the line making roast beef or whatever. And then I asked him, the other guy, like, "Hey, do you play World of Warcraft?" And he's like, "No, not really." And all of a sudden, he just pops around the corner and says, "I do." And then I unintentionally ignored that other guy from there on out, and I didn't do it on purpose. I'm like, after a while, I'm sitting there talking to him for like an hour plus that day, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just completely ignored the other guy. I am so sorry. Now he's like, that's all right, man. I can tell. It's fine. I just thought that was a fun little story he reminded me of. So, some general comments. So I'll just I won't say rapid fire, but I'll just say them. I said, I love how you guys go the extra mile with prop kits and extra goodies and stuff like that. You guys aren't just two guys sitting there talking about a movie. And even if it was just that, you guys do it so well that even as a non-movie buff, I was so enthralled in what you guys are doing, clearly because I've watched every episode multiple times, minus the new one. But the fact that you guys not only do that well, but you bring all these extra press kits and the knickknacks and the props, I love that. Such good attention to detail.
Thank you. We really try to do what we can, and I will tell you it's challenging sometimes because, budget restrictions. You know what I mean? Like the first couple of recordings were more expensive than this last one just because they had to be. We had to get a lot of the equipment that we use for the show, and to show you behind the scenes, like Josh and the Christian and Isaiah, that's the crew behind the scenes, and they're actually featured in some of the skits as well. You can see from the credits who's who. Like in Nim, Isaiah plays the janitor that's not us, and Christian's in several episodes as well. He's got some times to shine that are coming up here real soon. He's the main cameraman. We have a big array of like the monitors behind us. There's an equal amount of monitors that aren't on screen that are doing different aspects of the show, whether they're controlling the lighting. We basically record it like it's a live show. So it's like we don't do a lot of takes. Like there's really the only time there's a redo of something is if something ruins something during the show, just like the phone ringing or like, a siren going by, then we'll just pause and restart that thing. But we don't bullet point the show other than to have the different like segments of it. We don't script it out. It's all just off the cuff the whole time. The only thing that's scripted are the skits, and a lot of times we ad-lib those as well. I think really what it is, like I said, is just the enthusiasm that you have for the thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
So like me and him, every once in a while there might be one that I don't know as well or he doesn't know as well. So, maybe one of us won't be as versed in it, but we're still excited to talk about movies. And like, Josh and I have been friends for almost 2 decades. These are just the kind of conversations we would have on the phone, and we just decided to make it into a show format.
And why not share it for the world?
We would laugh and joke like we do on, during the show. And I think sometimes that genuine enthusiasm will always be taken better than somebody that's just doing something scripted that maybe they don't care as much about. You know what I mean? Like we genuinely care about these movies. We're genuinely excited about these movies, and I think it bleeds into the user's experience.
Okay, so another thing we have here. Now, like I said, I'm not a big movie buff. He's a little more than me, but neither of us are to the extent that you guys are. However, when I do watch movies, I always look for some kind of a review of it afterwards, so I can get someone else's perspective to see if it aligns with me. And one of the guys I the guys I normally go to right away is Chris Stuckman. You know who that is? I
don't actually.
He's a wonderful movie reviewer, and you guys have different styles, but you guys are both very clean and very straightforward and very articulate. You should check him out. He's a wonderful movie reviewer. But I usually go to him, but now, and I put you guys like right there with him, because I think very highly of him, and you guys are so good at that. So now I have 2 people to go to.
What's funny about ours as well, I think that's something that a lot of people are surprised about, is we don't technically rate any of the movies. Mm-hmm. Because we if we're picking that movie, we love that movie.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it might not be something that would, you go on IMDb or a different site that, gives a score for a movie. It might be a 5 or a 6 out of 10, but to us it's a 10 because we love that movie. Just the same like we talked about, it might be a bad game to somebody else, but it might be one of your favorites. And, one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. We're not going to really be talking about a movie if we don't actually care about it. Like, the movies that we watch, we didn't feel the need to review them because the reason we're discussing it is because it's something we enjoy watching. Sure. And that's how I am too. Like, even when I go to rate something on, like, say I'm on a streaming platform and after you watch it, if I like a movie, it's 5 stars. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I was like, that's not a 3 to me. If I enjoyed watching it, 5 star, 5 star.
Right. See, I think it's I have a very analytical mind when I'm watching things, learning about things. I do think it's important to understand the flaws of what you like, but I totally do understand where you're coming from as well. Have you ever heard of a YouTuber called Pro Jared?
Yes, I have heard of them.
So, his favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VI.
It's one of my favorites as well.
It's my top 3 Final Fantasies, but his favorite video game of all time, let alone Final Fantasy, is Final Fantasy VI. He had this long-running series where he reviews each mainline game. And he was critical, but not in a, oh, this game sucks kind of way, but he loved this game very clearly. You could tell by the passion of the video, but he was also openly critical about it too. And I think that's important to have a critical eye for the things you love and not be too, what's the word I'm looking for? Not be too...
blinded to its flaws. Just seeing the good stuff and, oh yeah, no, that's not a big deal. It's bad stuff.
But I totally understand where you're coming from too with your mindset.
Yeah.
I just think that's my point of view.
Every once in a while we may discuss something that we were sad that they did or didn't do in a movie, but for the most part, we also try to focus on the positives, and I make sure with that with the trivia too. Sometimes there's dark trivia, and I'll sometimes just exclude it because it's like, it almost just changes the tone, you know what I mean? So I'll be like, let's focus on the good, not the bad, but I completely agree. It's good to see things for its flaws as well, and sometimes its flaws is what makes it unique, you know what I mean? Like sometimes like something not being... I like the imperfections. Like, just to reference something my father used to say back in the day, he used to joke that, and this, this is back in the day, so this is like the 90s to early 2000s that he would say this the most, because that was after I was starting to get older. He'd say he wished that ugly people could make music again because everything's so commercialized. It's got to be some, model-esque, statuesque person that's creating music instead of the most talented musician sometimes. And I joke and say the same thing about movies. I don't want everybody to look perfect. I want people, he's a nerd because he's a handsome guy that has glasses on. You know what I mean? Take the glasses on, and he's got this chiseled jaw. And,
Henry Cavill.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I want goofy looking people like myself and others to, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I joke with is like, I don't want everybody to be like this, beautiful representation of human. I want diversity in like how appearance is, you know what I mean? I don't want it to just be all these like statuesque humans that are, playing every role, you know what I mean? Like have the handsome guy, have the goober guy over here, you know what I mean? Like it just adds something to it that not everybody is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that we have left here is really just complimenting your amazingly talented wife at the things she does, whether it be the props that she makes for your sets, whether it be all the stands she makes for your games here in the store. She's incredibly talented.
She is my silent partner in crime because I will say this, she doesn't like to be the front and center person. She kind of shies away from the attention sometimes, but she does such a good job. I couldn't do any of this stuff without her. She's a very supportive wife. She enjoys the stuff with me. That's what's so fun about this. Like
that's the best part.
She's been a gamer with me. She's a movie advocate with me. She loves movies as much as I do. We love a lot of the same movies. We have differences too, but like we have a lot of crossover and we get to enjoy them together. Like we just were watching The Great Outdoors this morning while we were working on the shop before you guys got here. And it's so funny because like, we're slightly different in age. There's like a 4.5 to 5 year difference between us, and I know it doesn't seem like much, but it's enough to sometimes have different tastes in things too.
I get you there. There's a big difference between me and my fiance.
Because then sometimes your childhood things aren't the same childhood things because you just have that slight age.
I have this list of movies that we have to watch because I remember watching when I was a kid, and they were like old movies when she was a kid. So.
But she has a lot of the similar experiences from her childhood, like, watching a lot of the ones that we are featuring on the show. And she is, actually, the new episode that you guys haven't seen yet, she is in the intro bit with me. And I'm very proud of her for doing so because she doesn't like to get the attention a lot of times. And I will say that she did... In my opinion, she's the funniest part about the bit. I'm her sidekick in this bit, even though it brings back a character that you guys have seen in a previous episode, one that you guys referenced. I won't ruin it for you, so you can go into it without without spoilers. But we'll just say this: one of the previous characters has a sister, and they are featured at the beginning of this episode, and. It's one of those bits that we had a hard time getting through because we were all laughing at this one.
Oh, it's one of them. I love those.
Yeah.
I always enjoy too when we're filming. There was one episode we were filming that I did some surprise things that weren't in the script, my wife, who she basically advances like some of the stuff behind the scenes while we're working. She had to do this so that she could focus on her job because I was making her laugh so much that she had to like not look at me while she was running some of the equipment, basically.
How well did that work?
It worked out pretty well. We got the takes, but it was just so funny, like I said, because she was just openly laughing a couple times during some of the scenes. Because I think I did it to several of them because I came up with a couple. Basically, what I try to do is like in the moment think of different things that a little kid would do if they were getting rambunctious or impatient or something. Like in the one that I was doing where I'm like basically like rocking like this as a little kid that's getting. Another thing that I remember doing is like just pulling at my shoelaces when I'm playing a little kid in one of them and stuff like that. Just trying to channel my inner 4-year-old, basically, seeing what my little guy does on a daily basis. I try to bring that to the character that I'm playing in the show.
Well, Jimmy, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think it's been very informative. It's been a great time talking to you and sharing all these stories and insights and everything with you.
I had a lot of fun talking about the story and the show.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us? Something we always like to add at the end of any conversation we do with someone.
Well, let me ask you both this: what's your favorite game? What's your favorite movie? Since we've talked about both this time around, and I've shared some of my opinions about that. What's your favorite game? What's your favorite movie?
I'll let you go first.
So I already said what my favorite movie is. Lion King. I will never not love that movie. And you remember what I said my favorite series was? Video games?
It was Disgaea.
Correct. There's Disgaea 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6 doesn't exist. That's the only game in the franchise. It's garbage. Yeah, Disgaea. I am one of those guys that will sit there and spend an obscene amount of hours, as long as I can see a number get a little bit higher. Across PC and PlayStation 4/5, I have over 1,600 hours in Disgaea 5.
Wow.
Now, granted, that's over like 5 or 6 years of play, but like even to this day, I will still occasionally boot it up and just sit there and mindlessly play the same map like over and over and over and over again. It's euphoric.
For me, I did mention it. I believe Jurassic Park, the original movie, will be one of my favorite movies of all time. There's been a few that have come close, but yeah, the animatronics and everything that they put into the movie just made it so great.
Still holds up to this day.
Yeah, it's amazing. My favorite game, I'm gonna have to throw it back to something when I was a kid, and I'm gonna say Zelda 2 for the NES. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't like the first one. I really enjoyed it. It was very difficult. I will give you that. I had the strategy guide. I had the Nintendo Power. I had all that stuff when I was a kid playing it, and I just remember having a lot of fun with it. And it's one of my earliest memories. But yeah, I think it'll be one of my favorite games too.
I never understand the hate it gets.
Yeah.
I do remember liking it, but getting frustrated
Yes.
at it when I was a kid. Like, I was like, I am not good at this game.
It was not easy.
I don't hate it. It's just a stark contrast from like the first one. Because like if we're looking at like a lot of people would say, oh well, what about Mario 1 and Mario 2?
Those are two totally different games.
But at least with Mario 1 going to Mario 2, there is DNA of Mario 1 in Mario 2. But we're going from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, that's completely different. That's kind of like what Helldivers did when they went from that top-down to this over-the-shoulder. Like, it's not a bad game, it's just so jarringly different.
I think I didn't play a whole lot of the first one before I started playing this one.
That's fair.
Because it was the game that I got. So... but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and then I've since gone back and played the first one, and it's good too. But it'll just never hold the sentimental value, at least as two.
The original Zelda is still my favorite, which I feel like very few people actually pick the original Zelda to be their favorite. I feel like either Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time is the two front runners typically for selections. And that reminds me, after we're done with this, I have something cool to show you as another one of my relics from my childhood that I have basically on display here in the store. I'll make sure I show you guys before we leave.
Well, before we end this, I just want to give you one suggestion based off of what you just said. You like Zelda 1. I don't know what engine it's made with, but there is this amazing mod. I think it's a Doom modification.
It's a VR one.
Zelda, no, it's not VR. It's a game someone made, ported Zelda 1 into the Doom engine.
Okay.
So you are playing Zelda 1, but in the perspective of Doom.
I have seen that, but I've also seen that they've converted it to be able to do it via VR also.
We do VR content.
So I'm pretty sure that they've taken that version that you're talking about that looks in the style of Doom. I'm pretty sure there's a VR accessible version of that.
We have to look into that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and call it a day. Would you like to say anything to our people here before we bounce out?
Thanks for watching our interview, and I hope you check out their channel. And if you guys want to check out WarpZone in Greensburg, and we also have in our feature presentation releasing new episodes every other Tuesday. We try to have fun with everybody and share our experiences.
And both of those ventures will be in the comments below. Something about WarpZone. Do you guys have a website?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
It's warpzoneonline.com.
Okay. And we'll make sure we list the link to their amazing YouTube show. All right. Well, Jimmy, we're going to go ahead and say bye, and we'll see you guys next time. Sorry, sir. Sorry we had to kind of use weaponry to force this whole interview thing on you.
That's my bad.
It's my bad, too.
No worries, guys.
Well, we thank you for giving us this chance.
Really appreciate it.
We hope you have a great day, sir.
Oh, hey, by the way, guys, do you know the Konami code?
Of course we know the Konami code.
Do you know the Konami code?
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start.
Thanks for watching the video. If you want to be a part of the herd, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications. That way you'll never miss an upload. And most importantly, long live gaming.